Hey guys, this is part 2 of What If Naruto was in Danganronpa. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 5, Physics Sucks. Naruto awoke to the sound of the alarm on his phone going off. Groaning somewhat, he sat up on his bed and quickly grabbed the phone from his nightstand. It was the first time in a while that he was waking up this early. It was 5 o'clock in the morning to be exact. Not even back in Konoha did he wake up this early. Of course, back then, other than his ninja career, he really didn't have other responsibilities he needed to be on top of. But now, groaning some more, Naruto got out of bed and stretched out his arms, feeling his back muscles pop. I'm guessing this is what Shikamaru felt every morning. In order to maintain his physical skills, Naruto had decided to get some training in the mornings. It was the only time he had opened in his schedule. It was only for the weekdays. On the weekends, he was thinking of being more lax in order to give his body some time to recover, or more precisely just goof off. Keeping to this routine was going to be tough, but Naruto was nothing if not a creature of habit. He knew it was going to be challenging at first, but after a while his body would get used to it. Today was Tuesday, marking his second day at Hope's Peak Academy. Unlike yesterday, though, where it was only the entrance ceremony, classes started for real. The catch is that Naruto didn't technically have to attend class. While it was true that he had a lot of fun yesterday, the blonde hadn't forgotten his objective for coming here in the first place. He needed to stay focused at all costs. Pushing that aside for now, Naruto got dressed in his running gear in order to start his morning jog. From there, he would continue with different sets of exercises he had found on some magazines the day before. It was probably nothing Nekomaru would recommend, but it suited Naruto just fine for the time being. He only had to maintain his physical prowess, not get stronger. Naruto quickly got started. The morning went by quickly after that, with Naruto taking some time to study the neighborhood he now lived in. He had done some grocery shopping the night before, so he knew of certain spots now. But last night, he had been more focused on getting food than taking in the sights. The neighborhood was nothing special really. There were just a lot of huge houses. Naruto was sure that this was the part of the city where the rich tended to live. It was kinda weird that he was now among them. Moving on from that, Naruto arrived back in the house to find Tengen in the kitchen sipping on some morning tea. My, the old man said. I didn't expect to find you up this early. Most kids are still asleep at this hour. I was just doing some morning training. I see. Tengen nodded after a while. You are the ultimate ninja, after all. I guess it only makes sense. Naruto ignored him and stepped into the kitchen. He went for one of the cabinets where he grabbed 3 ramen cups, which only needed to be microwaved to be eaten. Tengen raised an eyebrow when he saw this. There was no ramen in this house 2 days ago. Naruto shrugged. I went and did some shopping when I saw that you didn't have any ramen. Didn't you know? It's the best breakfast, lunch, and dinner you can ask for. Tengen had to stare at the blonde for a few moments to see if he was serious. When he saw the Uzumaki put one of the cups in the microwave, he realized the truth. How are you not fat? Apparently I have a good metabolism. It was a combination of his Uzumaki genes and having Kurama sealed in him. Thankfully, he still had his genes. Tengen silently cursed the injustice of it all before moving on. Just so you know, your uniform came in this morning. I left it in your room. Wow. Hope's Peak Academy was fast, huh? Then again, unlike other schools which had to accommodate hundreds of students per year, Hope's Peak had to deal with way less than that. One of the perks of only having the elite attend. Placing his mug down on the table, Tengen studied Naruto, who was grinning from cheek to cheek as he ate his first ramen cup of the day. So, how was your entrance ceremony? Naruto paused for a second before inhaling all the noodles in front of him, almost like his mouth was a black hole. It was alright. My classmates are out there, but they were funny. I can't say I have any problem with any of them. Tengen chuckled a little. Well, yes. For some reason or another, all ultimates have their quirks here and there. It's what makes them so interesting. I'd say you're just like them in that regard. Naruto shot him a questioning look. But then he noticed Tengen staring at all the ramen he was having for breakfast, making him roll his eyes. Point taken. Tengen grinned. Anyway, I'm sure you'll find yourself fitting in with them. These next 3 years of your life are sure to be something else. For a split second, a frown made its way to Naruto's face. He masked it soon enough. I'm not planning on sticking around for that long. Today, he was going to gather more information about the other students in the school. That included those of Section A from the 77th class, and upperclassmen too. Speaking of gathering information. That reminds me. Tengen pointed to the remains of the computer in the living room. I couldn't help but notice that my computer was practically demolished. Care to explain how that came to be? Naruto had to look away. It's not my fault. That thing just wouldn't cooperate with me. Last night, before going to bed, Naruto had attempted to look up information about the students at Hope's Peak Academy in the same way Nagito had. Unfortunately, no matter what he did, he always ended up in some different site for things he did not need. It was all because of those ads on there. It was just so tempting to click them. Inevitably, it's what led to his downfall, though. Using the computer as target practice with shuriken had helped cure his madness. Tengen felt a headache wash over him. You do realize those things aren't cheap, right? I'll help pay for a new one. He was already planning on doing that anyway. Tengen shook his head. That's not what I was getting at. But since you were kind enough to offer, I won't say no. Naruto's eyebrow twitched, but he didn't comment. It was his fault anyway, so there wasn't anything he could say here. Taking one final sip from his mug, Tengen savored the taste before placing it down. He gave Naruto a wave as he walked toward the door. Have fun in class today. And make sure to stay out of trouble, alright? Naruto gave the old man a half-hearted wave back and focused more on eating his second cup of ramen, going over his plans for the day. He already knew exactly what he was going to do today. The sun was barely rising over the horizon when Naruto arrived at the front gates of Hope's Peak Academy. Unlike yesterday, the blonde was wearing the school uniform now. Or his version of the school uniform anyway. There was no way he was wearing that stuffy blazer, so he discarded it altogether. He kept on the white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, and the red tie which was tied loosely around his neck. The top button on his shirt was also not buttoned. He didn't want to be strangled to death, thank you very much. Naruto had also brought his bag with him, but he honestly didn't see any use for it. He wasn't going to attend classes today, after all. Facing the building, Naruto nodded to himself. I need to look up all the other students here. Or as many as I can. Since the internet is out of the question, looks like I'll have to do this in person. It wasn't really a hassle to him. He had done this sort of stuff back in his dimension all the time. Only the people here who were used to having something like the internet at their disposal would find something like this troublesome. Naruto had decided to come early to see if he could scout anyone out before classes started. He didn't know if the other students actually went to their classes or not, so he needed to be as thorough as possible in his investigation. Naruto was about to take a step inside the campus when a soft squeak reached his ears. He stopped mid-step to see Mikan's surprised face staring at him from next to the front gates. She too was dressed in the school uniform now, albeit the female one. She wore the complete set, blazer buttoned up and everything. It honestly looked very good on her. Mikan, Naruto said, feeling as surprised as the girl looked. What are you doing here so early? The girl came out of her stupor when he spoke up. Yeah? Oh. I'm actually here on some urgent business. Business? Why, yes. I was tasked with looking after the nurse's office yesterday. So I have to take inventory to make sure that everything is in place, among other things. Naruto hummed at this. It made sense. Considering the girl's talent, it only made sense that the school would let her handle the nurse's office. It would probably be her own little base during her time here, so to speak. I see. Do you need any help with that? Naruto asked the question before he realized it. Once again, his good nature won out over his desire to get his investigation started. But it's alright. He had the whole day to look for other students. Helping Mikan wouldn't keep him from doing that. Right. Mikan fiddled in place, her face red. I couldn't impose something like that on you. I'm sure you're busy too, Uzumaki-san. That's why you came to school early too, right? Although she couldn't fathom what the blonde could be doing at this hour. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, his eyes studying the school building. Nah, not really. I was just going to take a look around some more is all. But I doubt many students are here at this hour anyway. There was still more than an hour before school officially began. Mikan sent him a questioning look before she shook it off. There was no reason for someone like her to wonder about Naruto's business. She should just be lucky he was even willing to talk to her like this. Pushing her luck would just lead down to a bad ending, which she wanted to avoid at all costs. Then, I wouldn't mind your help, Uzumaki-san. Naruto nodded, unaware of the girl's thoughts. To him, Mikan was just a simple shy girl. Sure, the fact that she was willing to undress for him just like that was a bit weird, but other than that she was alright in his book. The two walked toward the main entrance of the school in silence. On the way there, however, they spotted Gunham in one of the grand courtyards to the side. He was also decked out in the school uniform, customized with that long purple scarf of his. He had both arms in the air and was shouting about something. Without realizing it, Naruto and Mikan marched over to him to see what all the ruckus was about. The closer they got, the clearer Gundam's voice became, sorta. Dominion over this land. Let it be known all who dare to trespass shall be trampled by the Supreme Overlord of Ice. Fuhahaha. Naruto sighed and shook his head. Are you still going on about that ice stuff, Gunham? Huh. The beast tamer was quick to turn around and spot them, his arms coming down over his face. You fiends, you dare set foot over my new dominion? Has your foolishness no end? Dominion? Naruto glanced to the fountain behind the boy to see the four hamsters from before. They were enjoying the water of the fountain from the looks of it. How cute. Are you out here with your pets? I'm surprised. Gunham crossed his arms and scowled. How dare you refer to my four dark devas of destruction as mere pets? They are far greater than that. They are my companions on this hellish road. Do you understand, you fool? Naruto shrugged. I guess. I had a couple of friends who were friends with animals too. Kiba and Shino came to mind. They weren't as bizarre as Gunham was, though. Well, Kiba wasn't. Shino had his moments of craziness too. Humph. Then you should know better than to treat them as mere pets, Gunham said, clearly annoyed. Naruto got the memo. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't think you were that close to them. But since you're carrying them around, I should have expected that. Carrying them? Gunham began to laugh. Don't mock me, fool. I am not simply carrying them. I am using my body as a vessel for their survival. Surprisingly, his red eye began to glow. This is my secret art. The secret art of the Tanaka Empire. Coward before me. Ha 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 ha. Naruto and even Mikan's sweat dropped at the laughing boy. Raising hamsters like that, well, only Gunham could pull off something like that. Maybe that's what the scarf was for then. I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. Shino was practically harvesting bugs inside his body. That's even stranger than this. Then again, everyone in his world had strange abilities. This world was supposed to be less abnormal than his. Hope's Peak Academy was sure changing that perspective for the blonde. But it does make sense, Mikan spoke, more confidently this time. A lot of animals start the day early. I'm guessing that's why he's up and about. Gunham smirked. Humph. It seems the healer understands better than you, apparition. Apparition? Naruto tilted his head. What the heck does that mean? Gunham looked away. It means your entire existence is a query to me. Starting with those strange markings of yours on your cheeks. My birthmarks? Naruto had never really paid too much attention to them before really. Why are you so fixated on them? Mikan fiddled with her fingers. Well, they are really, unique. I've never seen anything like it before. Your appearance is certainly very animalistic in nature, Gunham added, smirking a little. I can't help but wonder if you have appeared before as my new servant. Naruto twitched and scowled heavily. Hell no! Uzumaki Naruto serves no one. Gundam's smirk grew as he looked at Naruto. Understand this, before me, you are nothing. Naruto growled. You're really looking for an ass-whooping, aren't you? Mikan tried to intervene. Please don't, Uzumaki-san. We're all friends here, aren't we? Naruto stopped and turned to the nervous-looking girl. With a look like that, there was only one thing Naruto could do. He patted her head. Calm down, Mikan. I'm only trying to get this guy to stop talking crazy. That was looking like an impossible mission now. On a side note, Mikan looked like she was in heaven right about now. Having Naruto pat her head was just amazing to her. I speak only the truth. Gundam's 4 dark devas climbed back on him, their speed admirable to the blonde. Naruto let it go. It was the same way Shino spoke, all monotone and quiet-like. Gunham was just like this. Trying to take offense would just be stupid on his part. Are you really only here to walk your hamsters? Gunham was quick with his answer. No. I have a bigger appointment now. Appointment? I have been assigned as the watchful guardian over all the many beasts that reside in this location. To tame such powerful adversaries, truly, this is the challenge that I've been waiting for. Naruto squinted his eyes a little, trying to make sense of what the guy was saying. It was here that Gunham finally saw it. At last I realize it. Huh! You are just like them, like the tricksters of the underworld. Gunham gripped his wrist fiercely, his teeth clenched. Just who do you serve? Is it the great Inari? Naruto just stared at him blankly. Mikan pulled on Naruto's sleeve to catch his attention. I think he's saying you look like a fox, Uzumaki-san. It was a description she was forced to agree with. And now that she had seen it, she really wanted to pet his whiskers. But there's no way Naruto would ever allow someone like her to do something like that. At this, Naruto grew a little somber. A fox, huh? Gunham noticed this and closed his eyes, suddenly feeling like he had said something he shouldn't have. Humph. No matter. You have proven yourself to be more worthy than I first expected. Truly, you are an opponent worth facing. Naruto's mood turned back to normal. Yeah, sure. Thanks, I guess. With this guy, the blonde didn't know what was a compliment or an insult anymore. Talking to him was exhausting, but at the same time not all so annoying either. Just weird. Gunham turned back to the school. I must depart for now. I have to face my new familiars today. Heh. What an exciting day this shall be. Fuhahaha. Naruto and Mikan watched him go, still unsure of what he was talking about. Maybe Nagito would have understood him better? He had been a great translator yesterday. Too bad he wasn't here right now. Anyway, we should head for the nurse's office now, Naruto said, catching Mikan's attention. Oh, yes. We should hurry. Spending alone time with Naruto, having a friendly conversation with another friend, this was a great morning for Mikan already. The two were in the nurse's office in record time. They didn't run into anyone else on their way here, proving Naruto right. Most students wouldn't be here this early. Not unless they had some work to do like Mikan. Or whatever Gunham was doing. Man, I didn't notice this yesterday, but this place is kind of dirty, Naruto said as he cleared out the shelves and cabinets alongside Mikan. The girl needed to know for sure what the nurse's office had in stock. If there was anything missing or needed replacement, she would contact the headmaster and tell him about it. That way, she could have new supplies. It does seem like only the minimal work has been put, Mikan noticed, feeling a bit down about this. With no one being on duty every day, I suppose it can't be helped. Well, at least you're here now. Naruto made sure not to panic when he pulled out some needles from one of the cabinets. God, he hated these things. I'm sure housekeeping isn't your thing, but at least it'll be more clean than when there's no one here. Why, yes. A look of determination made its way to Mikan's face. I'll be sure to look over everyone and keep them healthy. No one will get sick. I promise. Naruto was surprised to see the girl like this. He hadn't thought she had this side to her. On the other hand, her goal was a little bit impractical. You don't have to do something like that, you know. There will always be sick people. You can't help that. You just have to nurse them back to health when that happens. Why, yes. Mikan giggled a little. If you ever get sick, Uzumaki-san, don't hesitate to come to me. I'll give you a big shot. A big shot. A really big shot. Naruto began to sweat at her words, a shiver running down his spine. Why, yeah, but you don't have to put it like that, seriously. A big needle was the stuff of nightmares. Imagining Mikan with one, it just made him shudder. Good thing this place isn't a hospital. The two worked in a comfortable silence for a while, with Naruto taking care of the cleaning while Mikan checked over the supplies. The blonde didn't mind this as he was used to the grunt work. Besides, he couldn't just leave Mikan to do all of this by herself. The school sure had no problem doing that though. The school here really was more hands-free like Tengen had told him. As long as the students excelled with their ultimate talents, they didn't care for what they did on an everyday basis. This kind of freedom wasn't new to Naruto though. It's basically how he had lived his whole life. But the students here were different from him, that's what he'd like to think. But then again, Mikan didn't seem to have any problem with taking care of this task by herself, and Dunham was off doing his own thing too. Hey, Mikan. The nurse squeaked in surprise, almost dropping the clipboard she was using to check over the medical supplies. Why, yes. Naruto's sweat dropped. Why are you so surprised? The girl looked down. I'm still not used to having my name called out like that. Eh? Naruto had to stop what he was doing to focus on the girl. What do you mean? It's just your name, isn't it? So what's the big deal? He still didn't understand that. Why, yes, but no one's ever bothered to use my first name before, and I've always had nicknames. What kind of nicknames? I've been called Ditz, Ratchet, Cunt Rag, and there was even one who said I reminded her of a bird brain. Mikan looked happy about the last one, something that made Naruto frown. He was beginning to understand the nurse a little bit better now. Mikan, have you been bullied before? You Mikan brought her hands up to her chest, her face confused. Why you ask something like that? Naruto shook his head. All those names, they aren't the kind of thing you would call a friend. Friends? Mikan repeated the word, but to her it was almost alien. I've always had friends. They would always strip me down, write on me, and even have me pay for their food. That's what friends do. It's not like I was ignored. She trailed off, but Naruto had heard enough. Just because you weren't ignored, it doesn't mean they actually cared about you, Mikan. She looked at him. But being ignored is the worst possible thing that can ever happen. Because then, no one cares about me at all. This girl, she was wrong on so many levels. That's not it, Mikan. It's true that being ignored sucks, but when the only attention you get is a negative one, it's not a good thing either. You need to find people around you who care about you for you, not who only use you for their amusement. Mikan fiddled with the clipboard, her head swirling. This was taking a turn she had not been expecting at all. People have always called me weird for my talent, that's why. She began to tear up, which made Naruto panic. Wait. You don't have to start crying. He went up to the girl to try and calm her down. It's my bad. I shouldn't have said anything. Mikan shook her head and tried to fight back her tears. It's not your fault, Uzumaki. I am sorry for causing you trouble. You can draw on my body if you'd like. I'm not. Naruto stopped himself and sighed. He had to make this girl understand what he was trying to say. Mikan, I don't want to do anything like that to you. What people did in the past, it's wrong. I just want to hang out with you normally. Not as my punching bag or anything. Mikan looked at him through her teary eyes. But does that mean you don't like me, Uzumaki-san? No, it means that I treat you normally. Naruto closed his eyes and came to a decision. To tell you the truth, there was a time when people ignored me too. Everyone feared me, and it made me angry. So I can understand what you're feeling to an extent. Naruto reopened his eyes, patted her on the head, causing for Mikan to feel all nice and warm again. It made her fears go away. But regardless of that, even if you don't want to be alone, you have to find people who see you for you. Don't let others take advantage of you. Besides, your talent isn't weird. I think it's pretty amazing. Mikan stared at him in bewilderment. Ah, really? No one had told her that before. Everyone always looked at her funny, saying her habits were weird. Her obsession always managed to creep out those around her. No one understood why she obsessed so much over their well-being, or anything medical related. That's why she didn't want to be ignored. It was better to be bullied than to be ignored. And yet Naruto was telling her that it didn't have to be that way. She could have normal friends who treated her just for being her. It felt great, if not strange. Naruto grinned. Yeah. I think you're pretty awesome. I really like girls like you. As usual, Naruto said whatever came to mind without giving it much thought. It was just the kind of person he was. That's why he was startled when he saw Mikan turn bright red before she started to really panic. WWWW what? I mean, huh. Mikan's mind was officially into overdrive. Aye. Oi, Mikan. Naruto tried to calm her down again. Only this time Mikan was too far gone in her own world to pay any attention to him. There was always a part of Mikan that was raunchier than she'd like to admit. Most of it could be attributed to the life she had growing up. Still, there was no denying that it was there. So when Naruto placed a hand on her shoulder to try and calm her down, the girl panicked. Somehow, she defied all common sense and tripped on her own 2 feet even though she was standing still. Naruto would never understand how Mikan managed to pull off such a feat. He would also never forget getting a free shot of Mikan's panties that day. Naruto would never consider himself a pervert. Despite having a master like Jiraiya, the blonde was sure he hadn't inherited the man's more dubious nature. That's what he liked to tell himself anyway. But he was still a guy, so there was no way he could deny enjoying Mikan's unfortunate accident in the nurse's office earlier, even if the rational part of his brain was telling him that it was wrong. When did he ever listen to that side, though? Things had gotten a bit awkward after that, with Mikan not able to look at him in the eye for the rest of the morning. Naruto still didn't know what he had said to trigger her like that. But oh well. He had helped her get things in order in the nurse's office, the two splitting off after that. Mikan had gone off to their supposed classroom with Naruto telling her that he would catch up later. He had a mission to start. The main problem here was that he didn't know where to begin. Classes were already underway. He couldn't just waltz into a classroom either. That wouldn't work. Because of this, he was left to search the rooms that weren't classrooms. The pool, locker rooms, and the library were all a dead end. That's why the Uzumaki headed for the 3rd floor next. He had mostly skipped these floors the day before since nothing really caught his eye here. This still held up true today, for the most part. There was one exception, though, the physics lab. Naruto stuck his head through the fancy-looking door, his eyes scanning the room. It was filled with a bunch of ornate machines. He had no idea what they were for, or what this room was even used for in general. The biggest machine was the one in the very center of the room. It was huge, and it had a very big glass globe with tubes sticking out. Now I remember why I didn't go inside this place. It was creepy as hell. Thankfully, Pico hadn't been interested at all either. Scratching his head, Naruto sighed. Well, whatever. It doesn't look like there's anything for me either. He was about to walk off until the sound of steps down the hall reached his ears. He turned toward them and saw a student making his way for the physics lab. The boy was dressed sloppily. Like Naruto, he wore his white dress shirt of the school uniform with no blazer and a black tie, with only one sleeve rolled up. Unlike Naruto, the boy's dress shirt was sloppy and half-tucked. Instead of the school shoes, he had a pair of bathroom slippers on and black trousers. His dark hair was a mess, and his eyes had heavy bangs under them, probably due to a lack of sleep. All in all, the guy most definitely stood out. HM? He paused when he noticed Naruto standing by the door. His face was mostly apathetic, but Naruto could sense that he was being sized up right about now. It had happened to him many times before, after all. Who are you? What are you doing here? Straight to the point, huh? Naruto chuckled sheepishly. The name's Uzumaki Naruto, and I was just looking around for other students is all. His brow furrowed. Classes are about to start. Shouldn't you be in your classroom right now? Classes aren't mandatory, right? Crossing his arms over his chest, Naruto shook his head. Besides, there's something I need. And fast. That's the whole reason I'm at this place. Well, get in line. You're not special in that regard. Everyone's here for a reason. The dark-haired boy sidestepped Naruto, the conversation no longer interesting for him. He walked inside the physics lab, almost like he owned the place. Hey, wait a sec. Being his usual self, Naruto didn't recognize the dismissal and followed after the guy inside the lab. Do you know what this place is? What kind of question is that? I mean, like physics. What is that? The boy turned to him in obvious perturbation. You don't know what physics is? Am I supposed to? Once again, Naruto asked the obvious. The boy's eyebrow twitched. Just what? He had no idea how he was supposed to react here. Even if he wanted to get angry, he just couldn't. The question was just that stupid to him. Things are much simpler where I come from. Naruto pointed to himself and grinned. I don't deal with anything that's complicated. It would just be too annoying. That's not something to be proud of. Naruto merely shrugged in response. Placing a hand inside his pocket, the boy said, Physics is everything you see around you. It governs the natural laws of this world. Without it, we wouldn't have anything. That includes everything you take for granted in your everyday life. That didn't really answer much. It did show Naruto that this physics was more important than he had first guessed. But wait. Did you just say it governed the natural laws of this world? Yeah. That caught Naruto's interest. This was exactly what he had been searching for. Does that mean you could find a way to maybe open a portal or something of that nature to another world? In theory, yes. In actuality, it's more complicated than that. It wasn't the guy in front of him that answered but a different voice altogether. Naruto glanced back to the entrance of the physics lab where a different boy now stood. He wore the complete male uniform, only he was also draped in a white lab coat. His hair was darker and messier than the first guy's, and he looked like he hadn't caught any sleep in weeks too. Matsuda, what are you doing here? Instead of addressing Naruto, the newcomer addressed the other guy, now named Matsuda. I thought I told you I was gonna be busy today. Matsuda Yusuke looked up toward the grand machine in the center. I have no patience to go to class, so I thought I could kill some time in here. But... He paused and glanced at Naruto. You have another unwanted guest here. Naruto pouted. Now that's just rude. He doesn't even know me. But he's right. I don't want you here. The guy in the lab coat didn't give the blonde a second glance as he made for the grand machine. I have things I need to take care of. I'm not hosting parties in my lab. Your lab? Naruto tilted his head. How can this whole place be your lab? Yusuke pointed at the other boy. He's the ultimate physicist, so the school passed along some money for him and his experiments. That's how this place came to be. That sounded pretty cool, actually. Experiments that I still have to complete. Since I've been gone for some months, I need to make up some time. Wait, that means you created that big clunky thing? Naruto said, referring to the grand machine in the center. I take offense to that, the boy said in return. This big clunky thing shall be one of my greatest works. I would appreciate it if you showed it the respect it deserves. Naruto crunched up his face. Sure, but what is it? The boy grinned and spread his arms out. It's an air purifier, except that it will work in a scale never seen before. It won't be like those you see in homes and offices. No, this can very well be the first step into solving global pollution. Naruto was officially lost. I don't get it. Yusuke scratched his head, now annoyed. Look, it's obvious you're not smart enough to grasp these concepts, so why don't you beat it? This place won't be up your sleeve. Naruto took offense to that. Hey, I don't need your input on this, so butt out. Besides, why are you even here? I need to ask this maniac for some pointers on my work, Yusuke shot back, defending his coming here. I'm the ultimate neurologist, and you are? Ultimate ninja. Yusuke snorted. What a stupid concept. Naruto growled. Why you dash? I don't need the two of you bickering like idiots in my laboratory, the boy scientist cut in with a scowl. If you want to fight, take it outside where you won't bother me. He glared at Yusuke. And you, Matsuda. I would respect your upperclassmen if I were you. Yusuke looked away, not wanting to get into a fight with the older boy since he did sort of need his help. Naruto was more interested in this so-called physicist now. So you're older than us? I'm in the second year, yes? He gave Naruto a once-over. You're probably one of the new students, aren't you? Naruto nodded. Yeah. Well, good. He pointed at Yusuke. So is this guy. You two should get along perfectly. Naruto and Yusuke both looked at one another, hemped, and proceeded to look away. Not on his life. Like I could ever be friends with this dick. The still unnamed boy's shoulder sagged. Why do I have to be a part of this? I just need you to answer a question for me, Naruto insisted, not willing to back down. Not when he finally had a lead. I know that you're probably the best person who can help me out with this. Yusuke found himself staring at Naruto with curiosity. What could this guy possibly want to know when he didn't even know what physics was? The ultimate physicist was in the same boat, sharing similar thoughts as Yusuke. Although his thoughts stemmed more on the fact that he wanted both Naruto and Yusuke gone as soon as possible. He had a lot to work on, and he didn't need these two hindering him. He got the feeling the blonde wouldn't leave him alone until he answered the question, though. And so, he placed a hand on his head and sighed. What did you have in mind? Down on the first floor, those in Naruto's class were discovering that their classroom was indeed 1B, so they didn't need to go on a wild goose chase. My hero was still annoyed, though. I can't believe you! Not only do you show up late, but you didn't even tell us about where our classroom was. Koichi raised his arms in defense, suddenly feeling like he was on trial here. Relax, Mahiro-chan. Don't call me that. You guys were able to find this place, right? My confidence on you wasn't misplaced, after all. Fuyuhiko scowled. Such a bullshit excuse. The others were thinking the same thing too. Now, don't doubt your teacher. Koichi raised his hat a little bit and grinned. There's a reason why I was chosen to lead you guys. That reason being that the school was currently understaffed, but they didn't need to know that. Not that any of the ultimates were buying his excuse, not even Nagito, who was just all smiles and rainbows at the moment. Regardless, they found their seats in the classroom and took them. It was here that Koichi noticed something. Huh! Aren't we missing one? The seat next to Chiaki was empty. Lifting his clipboard up to his eyes, Koichi read through the names of his students one more time. Wait a second. Soda-kun, I think that's your seat. The mechanic raised his fist in disdain. That's not fair. This seat was empty. It was one of the seats in front of the class, but more importantly it was the seat next to Sonia. There was no way Kazuchi was gonna give it up. Fuyuhiko hemped. The one that's missing is Uzumaki. Piko had picked up on this already, as had Mikan, who was fiddling with her fingers. She silently wondered where the blonde could be right now. Duh! Nekomaru nearly slammed his massive fist on his desk. That's no good. I already had his new training regiment prepared for him. That was fast, Ryota commented, not taking his eyes off from the device he had brought in order to work on his anime. Oh no. Sonia placed a hand on her cheek and nearly gasped. You don't think anything's happened to him, do you? Nah, no way. Akane picked her ear with her pinky. You guys saw that guy yesterday. He's strong. He wouldn't go down so easily. That's what my gut is telling me anyway. Piko closed her eyes. I concur. Uzumaki-san is a skilled opponent. The thought of someone defeating him is not an easy one. Ah, geez. Mahiro rolled her eyes. And here I thought he might be more dependable. But where do you think Uzumaki-kun might be? Nagito wondered. Gunham spoke up. I saw the fool early this morning in the company of our healer. They were going to school together. All eyes went to Mikan, who squeaked at the attention she was being given. She just wasn't used to it. Speak up, ugly. Hayoko's eyes went cold as she looked at the shaking nurse. You must know something. Not that Hayoko cared too much. The blonde had been annoying to her, but she was just sort of curious is all. Mikan stuttered out her answer. I don't know where Uzumaki-san went. He just said he had something to do. It was the truth, and nothing but the truth. Calm down, all of you. Koichi sighed and threw the clipboard on his desk behind him. Uzumaki ain't breaking any rules. The school doesn't keep track of attendance. I'm honestly surprised so many of you showed up today. He couldn't drink then. Or nap. God damn it. Ibuki pouted and slapped her desk a couple of times. That means Ibuki doesn't have to be here either. Ibuki needs to practice her songs anyway. True, very true. Teruteru rubbed his chin in thought. I was looking forward to being around so many cute girls, but if I can work on my cooking. You guys can't do that. Mahiro exclaimed and stood up from her seat. We have to attend classes. We're students. Gunham did not agree. However, it does appear that the school does not enforce such rules. As long as we work on our abilities, everything else is second. He looked out the window. Uzumaki has already taken that route, and he. The beast tamer trailed off, not wanting to admit that he sort of appreciated how Naruto had broken the ice with them the day before. Fuyuhiko didn't give a damn either way, so he chose to remain quiet. Nagito also just watched on. He would follow whatever decision the others arrived at. Sonia looked down. But, we are classmates, are we not? If we go our separate ways now. With an audible sigh, Ryota stood up and picked up his supplies. That's just the way of Hope's Peak Academy. I believe Uzumaki-san is doing the smart thing. There is no reason for us to come to class if we don't have to. With those parting words, the boy left the classroom. Chiaki watched him go before looking down at her handheld gaming console. A part of her wanted to stay, but Gunham followed next. I have many affairs to attend to. Farewell, foolish mortals. He wasn't the only one. One by one, the Ultimates all walked out of the classroom, all deciding that they had better things to do than stick around. In the end, only Sonia, Fuyuhiko, Mikan, Hayoko, and Mahiro remained. Surprisingly, even Kazuchi decided to leave despite Sonia staying behind. His desire to work on his machines was higher than being around his crush, it seemed. Mahiro leveled Koichi with a glare. Why didn't you say something? Koichi shrugged. Again, they're not breaking any rules. So I can't do anything even if I wanted to. Yawning, he walked around his desk to the chair where he plopped down. You guys have a free period, so do whatever you want. A few seconds later, he was snoring. Mahiro twitched. This man. Sonia sighed. He is not very dependable. Hayoko snickered. Who cares anyway? Now we can do whatever we want. That's not the point, Mahiro muttered, not at all pleased by how this morning had gone. It's just like they say, Fuyuhiko said, catching the girl's attention. We don't have to worry about being all friendly and shit. In this school, talent is the only thing that matters. Sonia felt her enthusiasm sink. That wasn't the reason why she had decided to attend this school. She wanted to be friends with people her own age, and to experience new things. Now, all that was in tatters, all thanks to Naruto. Not the best of days for the 77th class. Unaware of the chain of events that he had started, Naruto was focused on the computer screen in front of him. The ultimate physicist, who Naruto now knew was named Nishijun, was typing at lightning speed on the keyboard of the computer. Yusuke was still with them as well, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. I can't believe you're actually going through with this, he muttered. Jun's eyes had some amount of interest shining in them. I'm somewhat interested in what Uzumaki told me. Not that I think it will work. Naruto gave Yusuke a side glare. Stay out of this, why don't you? It doesn't concern you. Yusuke scowled but didn't say anything else, not caring enough to do so. A part of him was still not understanding what the point of this was, though. A few minutes later, and Jun was finished with all the preparations. How very interesting. Naruto leaned in closer to try and see what was happening on the computer screen. What did you do? Did it work? Jun leaned back in his seat. I ran a simulation using this chakra you speak of. It's a lot different from the principles in Buddhism, not that I've ever been interested in such philosophies. But based on what you've described, and if it was in a global magnitude like you've said, then yes, interdimensional travel is indeed possible. Yusuke's eyes widened at this while Naruto grinned in excitement. What the hell kind of bullshit is that? For once, Yusuke lost his composure. He had heard everything Naruto told Jun about whether or not traveling between dimensions was possible. Jun had told him that, theoretically it was. It just wasn't grounded in reality. That's when the blonde had gone on about some mystical power called chakra, which was where Yusuke had lost interest. And now this happened? Jun for his part shrugged. Based on Uzumaki's description, this chakra has a great deal of firepower behind it. And in the quantity he explained, well, anything can be possible, especially if it's in a very concentrated form. With that kind of power, and if we hypothesize that the dimensions are close enough, it can be done. While Yusuke was still shocked about this, Naruto was pleased with this answer. It meant that his theory had been correct, after all. It was all thanks to that big-ass explosion caused by Madara. Stupid Uchiha. I just knew he was behind this. But even so, now that he knew this, just where did he go from here? Naruto narrowed his eyes, his mind coming up with his next course of action on the spot. Say, Jun, just what would it take for me to replicate that kind of explosion? If the boy was shocked that the Uzumaki was so familiar with him already, he didn't show it. Instead, he answered the question as best he could. That would be impossible for you. Naruto frowned. What? What do you mean? There is nothing on this earth that would help you achieve that same level of power, Uzumaki. Nothing within your reach, at least. Meaning? To achieve that level of power and force, enough to tear through the very fabric of time and space, it's beyond the reach of our current technological prowess. We can create as many simulations as we can, but it's just not possible in the real world. It's like I told you at the start. It's impossible. All the hope until that point vanished from Naruto. Now only anger remained. What the heck? I thought this place was supposed to make the impossible possible. Jun massaged his forehead. Not like that, I won't. A project like this would take time, and money. It just can't come from thin air. You have to understand this. He crossed his arms. But more to the point, why do you even care about something like this? You don't seem like the scholarly type. Naruto clicked his teeth together. If that's your way of saying I'm stupid, then nice on the subtlety. Jun shrugged. Naruto pushed that aside. Look, I really need this, okay? It's very important. Jun could see the desperation coming from the younger teen. It honestly made him feel bad. I wish I could help, he said truthfully, sighing softly. But it's like I said. With something like this, it would maybe take a lifetime. Perhaps more. My hands are tied. Naruto turned away, his face pained. Those words, they cut right through his very soul. The possibility of going back home, was it really non-existent? Yusuke meanwhile stared at the whiskered blonde in silence, his eyes studying him. There was more to this guy than what he appeared. What could it be? His curiosity had been piqued. By the time Naruto left the physics lab, it was already near lunchtime. He had been in there for like 4 hours. Time sure flew by when you were focused on something. Not that the time mattered to Naruto right now. His spirit was too down to care about something like time. No, Naruto was just frustrated. frustrated that he couldn't do anything about his situation. He stopped by one of the windows in the hallway, his eyes taking in the scenery. The trees, the massive buildings, the sky. Was he stuck in this place? Forever? Stuck with no way to return to his friends? To stop Madara once and for all? Naruto shut his eyes, his form shaking. Everyone, I'm sorry. There you are. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts by Mahiru's shout. He raised his head to see the redhead with her hands on her hips, her face flushed with anger. She wasn't alone either. A snickering Hyoko was right beside her, with Sonia, Mikan, and amazingly enough Fuyuhiko right behind her. What the dash? You guys. Naruto trailed off, unsure of what to say. You have a lot of explaining to do. Of course, Mahiru wasn't going to let him not say anything. Why didn't you come to class today? Scratching the back of his head, Naruto felt like he was an inmate on death row, or whenever Sakura was questioning him about his behavior. The two girls just had that similar presence to them. We were worried sick about you, Naruto. Sonia was more understanding, sorta. She was still a bit angry with her fellow blonde, but not enough to not worry about him. Mikan smiled a little. I am glad, Uzumaki-san. Hyoko rolled her eyes. See? I knew the idiot was just goofing off. You guys were worried for nothing. Then why did you even come? Fuyuhiko asked her, still annoyed that he had been dragged into this. Hyoko stuck her tongue out. To watch him get chewed out, of course. But of course. What else could it be? Naruto raised his hand and said honestly, I'm feeling totally lost here. Don't give us that. Mahiru began poking him on the chest to emphasize her point. Because of you, everyone else decided to run off and do their own thing. What? Sonia nodded, albeit reluctantly. Yes, Kizakura-sensei told us how it was okay for us to skip class. Since you were already gone, the others just... Who the fuck cares about that guy? Fuyuhiko grumbled. Bastard was passed out when we left too. He sucks at being a teacher. Just why the hell did we end up with him? For once, Mahiru was agreeing with the Yakuza. I know, right? It's totally irresponsible. Naruto nodded, mostly to himself. He was beginning to piece everything together. With the arrival of his fellow students, he was also starting to get over his frustration toward his lack of progress. I see. That's a big problem, for sure. Mahiru shot him a glare. That you started? Naruto chuckled, somewhat nervously. Man, this girl had a mean glare on her. I'm sorry about that, Mahiru. I really am. I didn't think my absence would lead to something like this. And it was the truth too. Mahiru could see that he was being honest, and apologizing also helped calm her irritation some. I guess I can understand that. Just why were you gone anyway? Tsumaki-san said you had some business to take care of. At the mention of her name, Mikan stood up straighter, almost like she was being interrogated. Naruto sighed as he was reminded of his failure. Just some stuff here and there. I got acquainted with some other students, so there's that. Mahiru took notice of the lackluster response but didn't push it. Man, who cares about that? Hyoko pouted and looked at the others. All of this walking is a real hassle. We didn't even accomplish anything by coming here. Naruto grinned. Now that's not true, Hyoko. The dancer's eyes widened. What? Don't address me so familiarly all of a sudden, you creep. I think you're just going to have to get used to that, Mahiru muttered, mostly to herself. Naruto ignored the blonde's insult altogether. We just have to get the others back. Easy as pie. Why you say that? But we don't know where they've gone, Mikan said softly, feeling confident enough to raise a point against her energetic friend. Naruto had already told her that it wasn't wrong to be like that, so she could be a bit bolder now. Man, fuck that. Fuyuhiko began to walk off. I don't need to be a part of this. After saying that, he stopped in his tracks when he noticed that Naruto was in front of him all of a sudden. Wah dash! How did you move so fast? The girls were impressed as well, with Sonia's eyes sparkling. Wow! Just like a Japanese ninja! Mahiru's sweat dropped. Again, Sonia-san, ninjas only exist in Japan. You can't just leave us like this, Fuyuhiko, Naruto said with his fists raised. I caused you guys some problems today, and while it wasn't my intention, I still need to make up for them. And it might help him get over his frustrations as well. Fuyuhiko T-sked. You seriously want a guy like me to tag along? You already know about my family, don't you? Yeah, what of it? The quick dismissal was enough to startle Fuyuhiko and make him lose his voice for a couple of seconds. Well, like, most people are afraid to get close to me, bum bass. No one dares to cross my family. He finally found his voice again. I don't really judge people based on silly stuff like that, Naruto retorted and lowered his fist down to Fuyuhiko's level. I only judge a person for themselves. And you don't look like a bad guy to me. Fuyuhiko stared at the fist in front of him, not understanding what the Uzumaki was getting at with this. When he locked eyes with Naruto, though, he understood what the guy was doing. It was enough to make Fuyuhiko smirk. You're a strange bastard, you know that? Despite his words, Fuyuhiko met Naruto's fist with his own, the two exchanging a fist bump. Naruto grinned. Yeah, so I've been told. Another bond was just formed. Chapter 6, A Class United? Man, you guys weren't kidding. This guy's totally wasted. I'm surprised he even made it to class today. Mahiru pinched her nose while Naruto poked at their so-called teacher who was still passed out on his desk. Mikun looked nervous about Naruto's actions but was too hesitant to call him out on it. She still hadn't fully gotten over her nervousness from the looks of things. Yes, well, it does appear that he's been drinking. We can thank him for showing up at least. Mahiru forced those words out, but in reality she felt anything but thankful. This man was not responsible at all. It was the type of people she disliked the most. Reminds me of Ero-sennin after he visited one of his clubs, Naruto commented offhandedly as he tossed his bag on his supposed desk. He and the 5 others were back in their classroom after they had caught up to the blonde on the 3rd floor. Lunch period was about to start too, but there were more pressing concerns. Like getting everyone else together. Sonia tilted her head in thought. Ero-sennin? HM? Naruto turned to her. Oh yeah? That's a nickname I gave my master when I first met him. He chuckled at the memory. It was pretty fitting if you asked me. Fuyuhiko shook his head. With that kind of nickname, I can only guess the type of person he was. Hyoko snickered. A total loser if you asked me. No wonder he was your master. Naruto flicked the smaller blonde on the forehead. That's not nice now, Hyoko. Hyoko spluttered and nearly stumbled, shocked that someone had done that to her. What? Hey, that hurt. Naruto shrugged. Maybe that'll teach you not to badmouth people you don't know, or people in general. Mahiru sighed and decided to speak up. While I appreciate what you're trying to teach her, a boy should never raise his hand against a girl, you know. Naruto waved her off. Relax. It wasn't that bad. I just flicked her is all. Hyoko glared at him, her forehead stinging red. She had sensitive skin from the looks of it. It still hurt. She then flinched when Naruto's hand came for her a second time. She was expecting to be flicked again, but instead her body was overcome with a warm and soft feeling when she was patted on the head. I promise not to do that again if you start treating us more like the friends that we are, Naruto said. We're not out to get you or anything, so I think it's only fair. A small part of Hyoko wanted to lash out since being flicked on the forehead really hurt, especially coming from Naruto's rough hands. But most of her was more mesmerized by the aura coming from the Uzumaki. It was all bright and promised nothing but comfort and happiness. It was the first time Hyoko felt such a thing from someone who wasn't her father. It wasn't exactly the same as her amicable feelings toward Mahiru that were already forming, but it wasn't all that different either. And the rough hands that could bring pain now felt soft. Huffing, Hyoko was finally able to look away from Naruto and tried to hide her blushing cheeks. Whatever, idiot. Naruto counted that as a victory. Baby steps and all. Mikun felt something akin to jealousy when she saw this, her eyes boring into Hyoko. but she kept quiet. Mostly because this was the first time she felt something that could be called jealousy. This was all around just confusing for her. Sonia clapped her hands together. Marvelous. I shall extol your virtues, Naruto. Yeah, thanks, I guess. He decided to take that as a compliment. Crossing his arms, Fuyuhiko said, So what exactly is the plan here? He paused. You do have a plan, right? Not really, no. Fuyuhiko deadpanned. You're an idiot. Mahira facepalmed. I have to agree. Naruto chuckled. Now. Don't say that. We just have to talk the others into coming back. It shouldn't be too hard. Come back to what? Fuyuhiko pointed to the passed-out Koichi. There is nothing to come back to. This guy is obviously a joke, and I'm not too keen on wasting my time in this classroom with him either. He did have a point there. Even someone as nice as Sonia had to agree with what Fuyuhiko was saying. Humming, Naruto thought about the situation for a second. In times like this, his brain usually came up with a totally random solution that usually saved the day. It was how he came up with his strategies in battle most of the time. Well, when you put it like that, I guess we'll just have to host our own little event. Sonia was intrigued. Event? Whatever do you mean? Naruto smirked and began to circle the others. Think about it. We're all still strangers right now. So of course our bond isn't all that strong. And that's precisely where we need to start. If we're going to survive as a group, we are going to have to level up. Level up? Hyoko blanched. That's totally embarrassing, you know. But it's true. Naruto wagged his finger at them. You know I'm right about this. Besides, I know you want to share in some amazing school fun too. I won't deny it, Mahira said, a hand on her cheek. Having friends in class does make your school experience a lot better. She then sweat dropped a little. But the others are totally crazy, you know. Getting them to agree is totally possible, Naruto exclaimed, raising his fist in excitement. We all need to enjoy our youth together. Guy-sensei would totally be proud of him right now. Fuyuhiko couldn't help but shake his head again. You really are one strange bastard. Why, thank you. Your words of encouragement fuel me. Mikan had to giggle here. Why, you are also funny, Uzumaki-san. Naruto grinned. See? Someone here understands my awesomeness. Mahiro rolled her eyes. Yeah? Get over yourself, and just tell us what you have in mind. Naruto stepped back and spread his arms out. It's something that I used to do a lot as a kid. And that's camping. Camping? Fuyuhiko mulled this over. So you want all of us to go camping? Is that it? Camping? Sonia tested the word. What is camping exactly? Mahira looked at her in surprise. You've never been camping before? The princess nearly bowed. I do apologize for my ignorance, but I regret that I have not ever done this camping you speak of. Naruto shot her a thumbs up. Then you're gonna love it, Sonia. It's just you and Mother Nature out there. You get to feel like you're really free and that nothing else matters but that moment. Really? Sonia's nostrils flared up in excitement. That sounds glorious. Truly, this is worth checking out. Well, I guess to you it must be exciting, Mahira muttered, looking somewhat amused. But then she perked up. Although it would be interesting to get photos of everyone out there. It's not every day that you go camping. The idea really began to sound more and more appealing to her now. But camping is such a pain, Hyoko whined. There's bugs, and trees, and all that dirt. What if I get it on me? Naruto rolled his eyes this time. Then I'll carry you. How's that sound? Instead of shooting a rude remark at him, Hyoko blushed some and looked away. Why, you don't have to do that, idiot. I can take care of myself. She had never gone camping before, though. Not that she would tell anyone here. Mikan was having a mental breakdown over this idea. I am going to have to bring so many things. If someone gets an injury, the possible infections. I'll have to be prepared for the worst. Truly, this was a test to her skills. Calm down, Mikan, Naruto said as he tried to ease the girl's fears. I'm sure it won't come down to that. Hopefully. We still have to get the others, Fuyuhiko reminded them, his hands in his pockets. And then get them to agree. TCH, this is such a pain in the ass. Naruto shrugged. I'm sure everything will work out. Before anyone could refute him, the school bell rang out over their heads. It was the start of the lunch period, it seemed. Even with the loud bell, Koichi didn't wake up, though. What a lazy man. It was here where Naruto's stomach grumbled, making its presence known to the world. But first things first. We have to eat. They were being led by an idiot. Mahira nearly slapped her face. We're doomed. Even though Mahira said this, she and the others were getting pretty hungry too. This was why they followed Naruto over to the cafeteria on the first floor of the school. Well, it was technically a cafeteria, but it looked more like a small fancy restaurant than anything else. Naruto whistled. Whoa. I didn't think they would have a place like this in here. Sonia nodded. I was able to take a peek yesterday, but truly this is a nice place to eat. I don't really need to order anything, Mahira said as she reached into her bag which she had brought with her. From inside, she pulled out a small bento wrapped in a purple cloth. I already brought my lunch. Sonia was amazed. A bento. I have heard of those in my country, but this is the first time I'm seeing one in person. Her eyes sparkled. I am learning so much of Japan's culture today. Mahira smiled weakly. It's not that big of a deal. Naruto's nose twitched, taking in the sweet aroma coming from the bento. Damn, that smells good. You must be a great cook, Mahira. The redhead blushed at the compliment. Why, yeah. I always have to cook back home, so I just got kinda good at it. Hyoko grinned, her face full of delight. Hey. You should feed me some of your cooking. WL, only a little. Yay. I get some of Big Sis's cooking. Fuyuhiko closed his eyes, amused. Those two are close already. Naruto had to agree. Yeah. I think it's great. Mikan smiled. Why yes, it is wonderful. While Mahiro and Hyoko went to sit down at one of the tables, the rest walked up to the order here section of the cafeteria. Only that there wasn't anyone there when they arrived. Oh, what is this? Naruto was ready to jump in the back and demand some food on the double. Fuyuhiko was annoyed too. TCH. Do they even serve food in this crappy school? They were cut off as the door to the back of the kitchen swung open and none other than Teruteru came running for them, his trademark smile in place. Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It sure is unexpected to see you all here. What the dash? Teruteru? Naruto blinked. He hadn't thought to come here to find this guy, but he was the ultimate cook. It only made sense that he would be holed up here. Teruteru chuckled in great amusement. My. It seems you were able to find Uzumaki-kun, and now you're all here. What is it? Could you not bear to be apart from me for too long? Do not worry. It's not the first time I've been told such a thing. No, it's not. Oh, by the way, Uzumaki-kun. Naruto had to take a step back as the shorter boy turned to him and grabbed his hand. How did you like that ramen I prepared for you yesterday? Was it delicious? Did your underwear come falling down due to my skills? You can be honest. This guy, he was giving off really dangerous vibes right now. Fuyuhiko teached. Disgusting moron. Why yeah, it was really good. Naruto pulled back his hand and felt like he should run away as far away as possible. It was my first time cooking something of that nature, Teruteru said, his face thoughtful. My dishes are usually more extravagant than that. I suppose your tastes align more to the common folk, HM? Naruto turned serious. Ramen is the food of the gods. It's the best dish to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is the truth, no matter where you go. The reactions were instantaneous. Teruteru looked shocked, Fuyuhiko's sweat dropped, Sonia was interested, and Mikan clutched her hands into fits. Uzumaki-san. Having ramen all that much is not healthy for you. She used all her willpower to say that. Naruto grumbled a little. But he expected Mikan to say something like that. She was a nurse and all, and Sakura always told him that ramen wasn't healthy, especially at the level he consumed. Don't say that, Mikan. Ramen is delicious. Mikan poked her fingers together and did her best to look stern. Which didn't amount to much, but she still tried. It's all for your personal well-being. Ramen is not to be consumed at that amount. You could become sick. Even though she didn't look stern, she still acted like it, Naruto mused to himself. It was great to see that she could take charge at times like this, but just not with his ramen, damn it. Sonia had a more pending question. What is ramen? Naruto's head snapped in her direction. Sway-out. You don't know what ramen is? The blonde shook her head. No. Am I supposed to? It's it's the best food in the world, Naruto proclaimed, a fire now burning in his belly. And for you to never have tasted it, you must have led a terrible life, Sonia. Sonia gasped. If it's that serious, then I am truly ashamed of my ignorance once more. To not have known something like that. You shouldn't take the idiot so seriously, Fuyuhiko muttered in disdain, shocked to see Sonia believing Naruto's words at face value. Naruto slapped Teruteru on the back. Yo, Teruteru! We are going to need 4 orders of ramen, on the double. Oh ho ho ho, the cook was all laughs and giggles as he made his way to the kitchen once more. You really are so forceful, Uzumaki-kun, I love it. Fuyuhiko, though, nearly slapped Naruto on the face. Or, why did you pick for me? I don't ramen. Naruto met Fuyuhiko's scorn with a glare of his own. Because you're a non-believer. We need to change that. Naruto then looked at Mikan. You too, Mikan. I'm sure you'll turn to the light once you taste Teruteru's ramen. While not as good as that of Ichiraka's, it's a close second, I think. It's still a very unhealthy diet, Uzumaki-san, Mikan reminded him. Nah, nonsense. I turned out fine, didn't I? Mikan could see the muscles hidden underneath Naruto's shirt, and had to admit that he had her there. But then she turned bright red when she realized that she was staring. Humph. I don't know how you survived eating just ramen, Fuyuhiko said. The thought of anyone doing that, it wasn't appealing to him. Sonia was next to Naruto on the excitement meter. Glorious Japan, I am learning so much. Fuyuhiko's sweat dropped in dismay. And she's not helping the situation either. In the end, Fuyuhiko was made to eat the ramen along with the rest, with Naruto gulping down 5 servings before he was satisfied. The others didn't look at him the same way after that. Piko breathed in deeply as she sat on the floor of the dojo she had sparred with Naruto the day before. She was in her school uniform at the moment, but she had spotted several training uniforms in one of the lockers. They were probably for those who wished to use the dojo on a regular basis. Since this was only her second day, Piko didn't feel the need to pull one out for herself just yet. In front of her was a bamboo sword. Not her own, but one she had borrowed from the dojo. She had brought her own today, but she felt like the next step in her training was getting accustomed to using other swords, not just her own. The discomfort from not using her own weapon could be a weakness that others might exploit. Naruto indirectly taught her that yesterday. That's a weakness she needed to overcome, and why she. Yo, Piko-chan. There you are. Her tranquility and concentration went out the window when Naruto's voice reached her ears. Looking up, Piko spotted not only Naruto, but her young master, Sonia, Mikan, Teruteru, Mahiru, and Hyoko. More importantly, what did you just call me? Naruto, who was waving at her, paused before saying, I called you Piko-chan. That's your name, isn't it? Piko didn't know what to make of that. She had thought it was only going to be a one-time thing, but... Sensing her thoughts, Fuyuhiko said, get over it. He's weird like that. Naruto grinned. Fuyuhiko likes me now. W-dash, said boy, nearly choked on his spit when he heard that. Teruteru was nodding to himself. MHMHMHM. Such friendship has blossomed. Not bad, not bad. I think you're misunderstanding something here, Mahira said, but when ignored. Sighing, Piko stood up on her feet. What are you doing here, Uzumaki-san? I thought you didn't come to class today? I had some business to take care of this morning. Naruto pointed at her. But still, that's no excuse for you guys to run out too. That's why we're taking the necessary measures for our future here. Necessary measures? Yeah, we're going out camping. Piko was stunned to silence for a few moments. She then glanced to Fuyuhiko to see if Naruto was serious. Fuyuhiko merely gave her a look that said go with it. Well then. This is rather unexpected, Piko said at last. Are we authorized to leave the school for such affairs? Naruto snorted. Pfft. Of course we are. We're not prisoners here. Besides, if it comes down to it, I'll speak to the headmaster. I'm cool with the guy. He was stretching the truth a little there, but what the heck? Haha. What marvelous hope you have, Uzumaki-kun. Naruto and the others turned their heads to the dojo entrance to see a smiling Nagito now standing there. Hyoko shuddered. When did this guy get here? Something about Nagito just gave her the chills for some reason. It went without saying that she still wasn't all that fond of him. Naruto was more receiving of the boy. Nagito. Glad to see you showing up. Now we don't have to look for you. I was just looking around the school some more, Nagito responded, still smiling. For someone like me to actually be attending Hope's Peak, I just wanted to make the most of it. Is that why you decided to wander off? Mahira said sarcastically. Nagito looked down. I didn't think I was deserving to be around such talent. That's why I decided to remove myself from the room. I was sure my presence wouldn't be missed. Man, you're still saying some weird stuff. Naruto was about ready to slap the boy. Look, forget all that. You're coming with us. Oh, I've heard the gist of it. Nagito's smile returned. You're planning a trip, Uzumaki-kun. But I must wonder, do you really want someone like me around? Don't make me smack some sense into you, was Naruto's answer as he led the others out of the dojo. Now come on. We still have to get the others. Nagito studied Naruto for some moments before seeming satisfied about something. In that case, I might be able to lend a hand. The others looked at him with curiosity. With Nagito as their guide, the group were able to find a bookie in one of the empty classrooms in the 4th floor. The classroom had been repurposed to serve as her practice room from the looks of it, even though there was already a music room in the school. No one questioned it. Ibuki herself was playing guitar and practicing one of her songs, only that the song was causing deep mental scarring for all those who heard it, except for Naruto and Hyoko. Hyoko seemed to love it while Naruto was just more confused than anything else, having never heard anything like this before. Music hadn't played a big role in his life, so this was somewhat engaging to him. So it's true, what they said, Nagito commented, his face a bit troubled. The reason Mayota-san left her group was because of their creative differences. Naruto merely shrugged. I don't get it. Yay! Hyoko cheered as loud as she could. This is amazing. I've never heard anything like this before. Ibuki stopped when she noticed the others in the room. What's this? Ibuki doesn't remember having an audience. Naruto shot her a wave. Yeah, sorry about that. We just came to get you. But Ibuki is in the middle of her performance, Naruto-chan. Ibuki can't stop now. Naruto scratched his cheek. Then we can wait for you to finish? That's asking for too much. Teruteru exclaimed, close to having a seizure. This is certainly some very bizarre music, Sonia managed to say, not sure how to feel about what she'd heard. Hyoko shot them a dirty look. Man, you guys are a bunch of wusses. Can't even handle something like this. Now, there's no need to say something like that, Mahira said, keeping the blonde close to her. She sort of agreed with what the others were saying, though. Mikan tugged on Naruto's sleeve to catch his attention. Are we really going to listen to the rest? Naruto patted her on the head to comfort her. It's not bad, really. And it's not like it can be worse, right? Nagito seemed uncertain. There's no way to know. Ibuki flashed them all a smile. If you're willing to stay, then allow me to present to you I accidentally kissed my best friend, so I may be gay now. It's quite a tearjerker. Ibuki swears on her honor. And like that, Ibuki returned to the group, at the price of listening to her songs, of course. A price that might have forever scarred some of them. Nagito guided them to the top floor of the school, to where a greenhouse had been set up. Nagito explained to them how it was there where most of the animals were being kept, leftover projects of the ultimate farmer who attended the school many, many years ago. That's what Nagito had been able to find online anyway. It was here where they found Gunham tending to some of the animals, all the while monologuing to himself. Naruto also now understood something. So this is what you were up to this morning. Gunham must have been coming here to take care of the animals. That's why he was up so early. Like Mikon had said, most animals started their day early. Gunham turned to them, his smirk wide. Welcome, you fools. I see you have decided to take your first steps into hell. Naruto didn't listen to him, though, and instead was somewhat mesmerized by the greenhouse before him. Whoa! This place is amazing! I didn't think a place like this existed in the school. Nagito chuckled. Ah. I'm guessing you're more of an outdoorsy type, huh, Uzumaki-kun? But I guess I should have known that from your idea. It is beautiful, Sonia said, watching some of the animals that had been housed here. There were chickens, bunnies, ducks, and even a goat. For the school to be able to handle something like this. Hyoko wasn't feeling it. This place is too hot. Who would ever want to spend their time here? I must, Gunham said, his arms crossed over his chest. For the time being, these familiars must remain here. Soon enough, they shall be transported to my fortress for safety. Fortress? Sonia looked puzzled by this. Fuyuhiko scowled a bit. Speak clearly, dumbass. Nagito decided to fill them in. From what I understand, Tanaka-san owns his own store where he raises most of his animals. It was provided to him by grants from several different animal activist groups, correct? Gunham cackled. Kikikik. It seems someone here intends to follow my footsteps, almost like a night watchman in the shadows. Nagito smiled. I shall take that as a compliment. Well, we can't get distracted here, Naruto said at last, taking in the atmosphere one more time. It was honestly pretty great. We need you to come with us, Gunham. HM? The breeder turned to him. For what purpose? Sonia beamed. We are planning a trip. We are to go camping. She was already excited. Her very bones were shaking. Camping, you say? In the wild? Naruto nodded. That's the plan, but we still need to figure out where. Pico deadpanned. This really wasn't planned all that well, was it? Mikan giggled. But that's just how Uzumaki-san is. Pico had to agree there. They only knew each other for 2 days, but she was already starting to understand the kind of man Naruto was. He did things at his pace and rarely came up with any plans unless it was absolutely necessary. He was a lot different from the types of people Pico was used to being around, but she was taking a real liking to him. So was Fuyuhiko for that matter, who smirked in amusement. Since we can't rely on the idiot, then I'll be the one to find us a spot. Oh? What's this? Mahira grinned. Does the big bad Yakuza want to go camping that badly? Fuyuhiko's cheeks turned red. Shut up. I'm only trying to make things easier for us. Right. Mahira's face made it clear that she didn't believe him for a second. Turning away from that, Naruto patted Gunham on the back. So what do you say? You coming? Gunham grinned. Fine. I suppose there shall be no harm in going on this little adventure with you all. Who knows? It might even transform our very understanding of this universe. Teruteru was greatly entertained by his words. You say such weird things as usual. Hyoko rolled her eyes. Like you're one to talk. Whistling, Teruteru winked at the girl. I take that as a compliment, mademoiselle. Gruss! Ibuki exclaimed, foam shooting out of her mouth somehow. Naruto could only shake his head at this. His new friends really were weird. Oh well. On to the next one. Naruto and the others were led back to the first floor by the sound of rumbling that echoed throughout the school. The sound was specifically coming from the first-floor bathroom, the boys' bathroom. "What is this?" Gunhem cried out in alarm, his face burning with anxiousness. Could this be? Has the demon lord finally awakened from his slumber? Nagito on the other hand hummed. Given that it's after lunch, I should have suspected that he'd be here. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Who are you talking about? The rumbling increased in size and noise. Nagito pointed to the door. Shall we find out? Mahiru raised her hand. I'm sorry, but I'm not going in there. I don't think anyone was expecting you to, Fuyuhiko muttered. I have never been into a Japanese men's room, Sonia said in excitement and ran inside, not realizing how her actions could be interpreted by the others. Teruteru gushed when he saw this. Oh, my Miss Sonia can be very bold, HM? Ibuki wasn't all that thrilled to go in the boys' bathroom either. Ibuki will wait out here as well. It's not like everyone has to come, Naruto said as he stepped inside the bathroom with Fuyuhiko and Nagito following him. Mikam quickly followed too, while the others stayed behind. Once inside, Naruto was met with Sonia's wild face as the girl took in the scenery with rising eagerness while the rumbling continued. I can't believe you just waltzed in here, Fuyuhiko said, taken back by the forwardness shown by the princess. Mikan decided to not comment as she stuck close to Naruto, looking around the bathroom in fear. The rumbling simply kept getting stronger and stronger. Naruto felt lost. What in the world is going on in here? Nagito chuckled some. Wow. His stomach must be in a real jam if it's. The lucky boy was cut off by a sudden explosion that erupted in one of the bathroom stalls, the explosion having enough force to blow the door apart and send flying the others that were outside. It's like I thought. Gundam's voice was heard amidst the smoke. The great lord from the Nine Hells, he has returned at last. This is messing with Ibuki's future. There were other voices and groans, but they were hard to make out. Since Mikan was the closest, Naruto had made sure to shield her from the explosion, the girl shaking in his arms. The whiskered blonde could see that Sonia seemed to be able to take the blast head-on, somehow. The girl was certainly tougher than she looked. Nagito and Fuyuhiko were still in the bathroom as well, the two boys having their arms raised to cover their eyes. What the hell was that? Fuyuhiko shouted, shocked. Nagito took the situation a lot better. Ha! He was truly backed up. Naruto was about to ask him what he meant until boisterous laughter reached his ears. Soon enough, emerging from the smoke, Nekomara laughed as he adjusted his tracksuit pants. Bahahaha. Sorry about that, you guys. I just had to push out a real big one today. Naruto let the shaking Mikan go and sighed in exasperation. I should have known it would be you. HM? The muscular boy blinked when he spotted Naruto. Uzumaki. I've been looking for you. I still need to hand you your new training regimen. Oh, you finished it already? You're just as fast as Guy-sensei. Who's that? No one, don't worry about it. Naruto looked up at Nekomaru since the team manager was taller than him. But we've been looking for you too. You're coming with us. Nekomara didn't know what to say to that and merely shrugged. He didn't mind since he wasn't doing anything in particular anyway. Nagito was pleased. Looks like that's another classmate down, Uzumaki-kun. Naruto turned to the broken door of the bathroom. Then let's go to the next one. Only 4 left now. Akane was bursting through the air at great speed, the wind gushing past her. Her hair moved erratically around her as she moved through the trees surrounding the school. There were many different buildings placed in the area of the school. Akane had no idea what they were for, nor did she particularly care for them either. She could also see another building that was in construction near the main school building, but beyond that her attention span did not remain on it. No, she was just having too much fun exploring the area on her own. That, and being on the move gave her a calmer peace of mind. Her sense of thrill left her when Naruto's face suddenly popped up in front of her from one of the nearby trees. Yo, Akane. Just the person we were looking for. What the foo dash? The gymnast lost her footing and ended up crashing down to the ground. Or she would have, If Nekomara didn't catch her in his arms, that is. Oh, my Ibuki was grinning widely as she took this in. A picture-perfect moment. My hero agreed, which was why she took a picture real quick to persevere the moment. It was by this point that Akane's mind rebutted, and the girl jumped out of Nekomara's arms and landed on the solid ground. She noticed that almost everyone from class was around her. Huh! What's going on here? Uzumaki's gathering us for some crazy idea he's got, Fuyuhiko told her. Mahiru nearly poked him. You say that, but you know you so totally want to come. Shut up about that already. Piko was silently amused by her master's embarrassment. Akane placed a hand on her hips. Uzumaki? Wait, that bastard was Dash. Man, you're fast. Naruto suddenly appeared behind her, dusting some leaves from his uniform. I kinda already had an idea from what I saw yesterday, but I underestimated your speed. Nekomaru was of the same mind. I know, right? Her speed is impressive. She has to be one of the fastest athletes I've ever seen. He then narrowed his eyes at the blonde. Of course, you were able to catch up to her with no difficulty. Naruto smirked and pointed at himself. I'm just that awesome. Nekomara fell into a fit of laughter. Ha 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 ha. That's certainly true. You are a great athlete indeed. Naruto wouldn't put it that way, but sure. Growling, Akane grabbed a hold of Naruto's shirt and pulled him closer. That does it. We're fighting right now. Oh, Ari-san, Mikan said quickly, frantically trying to stop a fight from breaking out between the two. Mostly because she didn't want to see Naruto get hurt. That would be terribly dangerous. Gunham closed his eyes. Uzumaki seems more than capable of handling himself. Teruteru's eyes flashed with glee. MHMHM. In more ways than one. Mahiru and Hyoko stepped away from the cook. Naruto removed Akane's hand and pushed her back a bit. Tell you what. You come with us, and I'll give you that fight. I promise. Akane turned deadly serious. You for real? Not playing me? Nope. Once I make a promise, I keep it. That's my personal motto. What a great motto, Sonia said, clapping her hands. Hee, Naruto-chan is taking the spotlight, Ibuki said, sticking her tongue out. Akane was more focused on getting that fight. She could sense it, Naruto was strong. And when she saw someone strong, she just had to fight them. She had already traded blows with Nekomaru, so Naruto was next on her list. Alright, you got a deal. And like that, Akane was with them. Another one down. Kazuchi nearly burst into tears when he saw the one and only Miss Sonia enter his workshop. Well, he could call it his workshop, but really it was just an empty grassy field with random junk he had found to tinker with here and there. Stuff the school no longer needed, which he could transform into something useful. Maybe like a huge engine that he could work on day and night. Oh, how amazing that would be. Those thoughts left him when he saw Sonia, though. He ignored the others and ran up to the blonde, gushing at her presence. Miss Sonia! I didn't think you would come here to see me. Were you lonely without me? Sonia plastered a smile on her face, doing her best to remain civil. Well, that is. Yo, Kazuchi. The mechanic felt a heavy slap on his back, his shoulders nearly heaving as a result. I didn't take you for the kind of guy to enjoy being outdoors. I'm surprised. Kazuchi leveled Naruto with a small glare. They don't exactly have a shop for me in the school, so I have to make do with what I got. More importantly, what are you doing here? All of you. Huh? Nagito tilted his head to the side. What's the matter, Soda-kun? You seemed happy when you saw Sonia-san. That's because Miss Sonia is different from you Cretans. She's a hot princess, so she deserves the respect. Look at this guy go. Hyoko curled her lip in contempt. Stop screaming so loudly, you loser. A loser. Kazuchi was devastated by those words, and it showed. I happen to respond better to praise, I'll have you know. Hyoko huffed and looked away from him. Like I care about something like that. You're just a loser with flashy clothes. Am I right? Don't bother answering, I know I'm right. There's a line you're not supposed to cross. Naruto would have told Hyoko to stop, but in this instance Kazuchi was the one to blame for starting it. Look, we need you to come with us, the Uzumaki said, cutting into their little argument. We're planning something urgent. Not really urgent, but whatever. Kazuchi was hearing none of it, though. Ha! Like I would ever go with you guys. Naruto went straight-faced. Sonia is coming with us. Count me in. Kazuchi ran for the group, changing his tune almost immediately. Nagito was greatly amused by this. You're mean, Uzumaki-kun. What? Naruto feigned innocence. I didn't lie. And he hadn't, but... Sonia, while lacking knowledge about certain common aspects of everyday life, was still able to pick up on Naruto's plan. I do not know how I feel about being used like that, Naruto. Naruto's shoulders dropped. You're gonna play that card. Fine. I'll make it up to you later. How does that sound? Sonia nodded, pleased. I shall take you up on that. Good. With that settled, to the next one they go. Ryota was in high spirits as he made his way back to his dorm. There was a certain jump to his steps, making it seem like he was frolicking, almost frolicking anyway. But why was he in such good spirits, you might ask? That had to do with the bag of snacks he had bought from one of the stores inside the school grounds. Recently, Hope's Peak Academy had expanded massively with the new funds they'd acquired from the introduction of the reserve department, or whatever. Ryota didn't pay that too much mind, as it had nothing to do with him. He was just happy with his junk food. This was shaping out to be a great night. Ah, there he is! Ibuki saw him first. TCH, stop trying to take all the credit, you overrated wanker. Ryota stopped when he saw that his dorm was practically surrounded by his so-called classmates. What the? He nearly dropped his bag full of snacks, not sure what he was supposed to do now. Naruto was happy to see him. We were starting to get tired of waiting. Good thing Nagito told us to wait. Oh, I just assumed Mitarai-kun was out doing some shopping is all, Nagito said, smiling from ear to ear. He did seem to have a big appetite for Hanamura-kun's cooking yesterday. Teru gushed at the compliment. My cooking just makes everyone's undergarments fall off, Kazuchi twitched. You should learn to phrase things better, man. Naruto ignored their small back and forth and focused on Ryota instead. It's sort of short notice, but you're coming with us, Ryota. Ryota began to back away. I have other things that I need to. Naruto didn't let him finish. Nekomaru, grab him! On it! The bulky team manager was on top of the poor Ryota in a split second, giving the animator no time to react. Wait, no! Let me go! I have anime I need to watch this afternoon. Ryota could only scream as he was dragged off by the powerful Nekomaru, but it was pointless. There was no escaping Nekomaru's grip once you were caught. Naruto nodded. Alright, just one more person to to talk to. Too late to correct yourself, Fuyuhiko said, his eye twitching. Teru hummed. Uzumaki-kun has a rather mean streak, doesn't he? He smiled widely. It pleases my buddy greatly. Off button! Kazuchi grabbed his head in pure horror. You gotta have an off button, man! Disgusting bastard, Fuyuhiko said under his breath. But Teru laughed it off, enjoying their reactions quite a bit. They were so innocent, he thought to himself. Breaking them in would be so much fun. Moving on. To the final one. Chiaki had no idea how long she had been walking around for, or where she was for that matter. With her attention so focused on her game, her overall awareness of her surroundings took a total nosedive. All she knew was that she was in one of the many beautiful courtyards surrounding the school, giving a more serene feeling to the atmosphere of the school. Not that she came here to appreciate the sights. No, more like she was here to sulk. When she had first been accepted into Hope's Peak Academy, Chiaki had been excited. She could be around other people who were also very talented. That way, they wouldn't be put off with her gaming skills. With her love for games being the main focus in her life, Chiaki had tried to connect to others through them in the past. It all resulted in failure, though. Others resented her for being so skilled, and shunned her as a result of her talent. That's how it normally went for her. That's why she had hoped things would be different here. She hoped to finally make friends. That no longer seems possible, though. She thought absent-mindedly, recalling how crazy her class was. They did whatever they wanted, and it didn't seem like they could connect as a group. Chiaki recalled Ryota's words to the class earlier today, about how they didn't need to become a solidified group. With talent, they had everything. Chiaki couldn't be satisfied with that, though. She wanted something more than that. She didn't want to just be identified for her gaming talent, but as herself. As the person she was, that's how she wanted others to see her. Or was that too much to ask? The world seemed to be telling her yes, given that she couldn't even find a place to belong to at this abnormal school. How sad. Chiaki decided to take her mind off those thoughts by starting another game, only for a hand to suddenly start waving in front of her face. The hand didn't belong to her, so who could it dash? Yo, that's a rather sad look you got there, Naruto said, looking at the girl with some amount of concern. Chiaki didn't know how to react. She hadn't been expecting to find Naruto of all people here, more so since he had been the one to skip class first. But then Chiaki noticed that Naruto wasn't alone, but that everyone else was with him too. Even Ryota, who seemed to be struggling against Nekomaru, who was carrying him. I really don't want to walk anymore, Hyoko complained, collapsing on the bench of the courtyard. We've been walking everywhere all day. Stop overreacting, Fuyuhiko said, growing tired of hearing the little girl complain so much. Are you sure you're okay? Mikan asked, walking closer to the blonde. If you need help then. Hyoko glared at her. Stay away from me, you. Hyoko-chan. The blonde paled when she heard Naruto's sing-song voice. Remembering their promise, she huffed and looked away. I am fine, all right. You don't have to worry about me, geez. Mikan managed a smile. I see. I'm happy to hear that. Naruto was satisfied with that. Mahiru's sweat dropped at the sight. It was almost like Hyoko was Naruto's pet now. But if it meant that Hyoko was more friendly and open toward the others, then Mahiru was more than happy to stand by Naruto's side on this. But she's got a point, Kazuchi said as he scratched his head. Are we done now? Nanami-san is the last one, Sonia replied, tapping her cheek in thought. So I guess so. Last one? Chiaki murmured, her mind still trying to catch up with everything that was happening. What do you mean? It means that we have all been gathered at last, Gunham said, his arms crossed over his chest. The purpose for our meeting shall soon become apparent to you. Nagito chuckled. That sounds kinda ominous, don't you think? Well, I haven't been told anything yet, Akane said, a hand on her hips. And don't forget about our promise, Uzumaki. Sheesh, I'm not. This girl was all about fighting, wasn't she? Naruto decided to bring the topic back to focus. Most of you already know what we're here for. But for the few who don't, it's quite simple. We're going camping. Huh? Akane cocked her head. Camping? Why? Because we need to strengthen our bonds, that's why. The quick and simple answer was enough to make Akane understand. Well, I for one do not want to go camping, Ryota stated from where he was being held. I have anime I need to watch, and dash. The others already told me what you said back in the classroom, Naruto cut him off, frowning. I believe you're totally wrong about the point of your talent, Ryota. It's not the endgame, and it isn't everything either. Huh? Ryota seemed to take that personally. I don't want to hear that from someone who practically left on his own to do his own thing. In that fraction of a moment, Naruto got the feeling that he was talking to someone else. Not Mitarai Ryota, the ultimate animator, but another person altogether. Weird. The Uzumaki put that aside for now and replied, Yeah, you're right. I did something inconsiderate to you all. I was only thinking about myself, and it ultimately led me to nothing. A look of determination took hold on Naruto's face. That's why I want to make it up to you all. That's what this camping trip will be about. I'll be sure to show you just how wrong you are, and also apologize to you for being a hypocrite. The firmness in Naruto's words was enough to make Ryota go silent. The others were in the same boat, not having been expecting something like this from the usual laid-back and carefree blonde. Well, all except Nagito, who was still able to voice his thoughts. Ha ha ha, that's incredible, Uzumaki-kun. Those words of yours, and your conviction, I'm sure they'll be able to lead everyone here to the true brightness that is hope, and make their talents shine further. Naruto got the impression that Nagito was misunderstanding something here, but before he could say anything, Fuyuhiko decided to speak up. While I don't agree with Kamida's weird-ass words, I have to admit that was pretty bold of you. Fuyuhiko shook his head and sighed. Seriously. You are one strange bastard. The strangest bastard I've ever met. I don't know why you feel like you owe us something, but if it means that much to you, then I have no problems going with you. But you know you want to go pretty badly, Mahira said, her voice taking a more teasing tone to it again. Fuyuhiko was forced to blush in embarrassment once more. Enough with that already. God damn it. Nekomaru let out an exuberant laugh. Ha ha. Kuzuryu is correct. I'll also be able to get you started on your new training regiment. It's a win-win. Heh. Akane smirked. We still have to fight. I'm not letting you off the hook that easily. Sonia clapped her hands together. It'll be my pleasure to go for sure. Kazuchi sulked a bit. Even he had to admit that he had been moved by Naruto's words a little. If Miss Sonia is going, there's no way I'm staying back. Teruteru whistled in appreciation. You can't leave me behind. Not after your words filled me with so much passion. Idiot, Hyoko muttered, her face flushed. Like Kazuriya said, I guess I don't mind accompanying you either, big bro. Pico smiled. I also don't mind joining in the fun. Ibuki appeared over Naruto's shoulder and started poking his cheek just like the day before. Don't worry, Naruto-chan. Ibuki will make sure to write you a song that will make everything go smooth and dandy. Mikun pulled on Naruto's sleeve some, giving the blonde a small smile. If you don't mind me, then I would also like to be by your side, Uzumaki-san. Gunham closed his eyes. Humph. So this is what fate has chosen. So be it. A small smile tugged his lips, though, showing that he too was pleased about this. I didn't know you could be so charismatic, Uzumaki-san. Mahira's expression was soft. She was glad to see that Naruto hadn't proven himself to be the total slacker she was thinking he was. Ryota sighed. There was no use struggling by this point. Not after that. Fine, I understand. I have no complaints. Chiaki looked down at her handheld console, unsure of how to take all of this. Naruto had spoken so freely, so easily. He was the exact opposite of someone like her who could barely get her thoughts out there. In a way, it was frustrating, but also nice to see. It was a strange feeling, and Chiaki wasn't sure she could put it into words. Not right now. What do you say, Chiaki? Those gloomy thoughts left her when she heard that question, addressed to her by Naruto. Looking up, she saw the others all staring at her, waiting for her response. Even Ibuki, who was still poking Naruto's cheek like it was the normal thing to do. Well, to her, it probably was. It was at this point that Chiaki began to realize that perhaps she might have found a place for herself in this school, after all. She smiled. There was only one answer she could give. Yes. It seems like things went stellar, Naruto. Sonia was even more excited about today's events than Naruto was. But that wasn't all that surprising. Having been sheltered all her life, burdened with her duty as a princess, to be enjoying a normal, everyday life like this was a dream come true for Sonia. You can say that again, Naruto said in return, going over the notes Nekomaru had handed him before they had all dispersed. The others needed to get ready for their trip, with Fuyuhiko having to locate an appropriate camping site for them. Good thing too, since Naruto didn't know the country at all yet. Naruto was the one who was going to inform the headmaster of their little getaway, as it was his plan. No surprises there. No one had wanted to return to class either, at least not today. Naruto agreed with them. Koichi was probably passed out still. That's why it was better to just start getting ready instead. That said, Naruto still had another matter to take care of for today. Sonia had seemed interested in tagging along, so Naruto let her. Kazuchi was practically glowing with jealousy when he saw this. That reminds me. What is it that you have to do now exactly? Sonia asked, looking curious. Does it have something to do with the trip? You could say that. Naruto placed Nekomaru's notes in his bag, highly impressed with what the team manager had put together for him. Maybe it had to do with his talent, but Nekomaru had been able to correctly access just how much physical training he could handle, and then some. He wanted to push Naruto to his very limit, and the blonde was more than happy to meet the challenge head-on. I have to explain to my boss why I can't come to work for the rest of the week. And it was his first day too. How shameless. Oh my! Sonia gasped. You have a job? Yeah. I don't want to be a freeloader, as fun as that might be. So I found myself a job when I came to the city. He needed to pay for a new computer too. Stupid thing. How glorious! Sonia flexed her arm, a natural quirk of hers. It was kind of cute. I have heard that many Japanese youth have these part-time jobs in order to make money. To think I would be able to experience such a thing, woohoo, my heart is trembling with excitement. Naruto had to sweat drop at her words. It's just a job, Sonia. I'm sure that is normal for you, but for me, the concept of a job is very alien. Her smile turned a bit sad here. I'm sure you must know why. I see. Naruto shrugged. In that case, why don't you work alongside me today? I'm sure the boss wouldn't mind having you around either. Even someone as dense as Naruto could see that a pretty girl like Sonia could attract a ton of customers. It had been the same way with I am at Ichiraku Ramen. Really? You think so? Sonia's eyes began to sparkle in pure joy. Oh, that will be amazing. I will not let you down. Naruto chuckled at her enthusiasm. It was better to see her this way than to have her thinking sad thoughts about her past. The two ultimates arrived at the ramen shop a little later, finding the place almost empty. The lunchtime rush had more than likely ended by this point, so that was probably why. Or maybe this place just wasn't all that popular. No way to tell right now. The ramen shop was medium-sized, and it had decent design value. It was a lot more illustrious than Ichiraku Ramen, that's for sure. Compared to other places around here, it wasn't that fancy though. Not that it really mattered to Naruto all that much. Yo, old man. Sorry to come in early, but I have some things I need to talk to you about. Huh? A 50-something man approached the counter from the kitchen side. He wore a rather typical uniform for cooks. However, the outfit didn't stand out as much as Teruteru's. You still lack manners, don't you? You're lucky I need you to work, or I wouldn't put up with that. Naruto chuckled sheepishly. Yeah, about that. I'm going to need some time off starting tomorrow. What was that? Already? What kind of place do you think this is? Before he could get too far into his rambling, though, he finally noticed Sonia standing next to Naruto, her face expressing her immense curiosity about everything around her. He instantly felt mesmerized by her. The few customers inside were all under the same spell, feeling like small ants compared to her. They all wanted to drop to one knee and swear their allegiance to her. Naruto raised an eyebrow, not understanding why his boss had gone quiet. He expected a bigger verbal lashing than this. Naruto, Naruto! Sonia pulled at his arm toward the kitchen. What kind of food do they serve here? Do you make it? Can you show me? Apparently Sonia hadn't been paying any attention to what was going on in front of her, too lost in her own world to do so. It was here where the old man was able to break free from the spell. Wait, what? Who are you? What are you doing here? Oh? Sonia took note of the question, and that it was directed at her. She bowed. Good day to you, sir. My name is Sonia Nevermind. I am here to hopefully work in your fine restaurant for today. Say what? Of all the answers he had been expecting, that had not been it. Yeah, sorry about that, Naruto said while scratching his cheek. She's rather upfront about these kinds of things. It is the only way to go, Sonia exclaimed with no shame at all. Wait a second. Narrowing his eyes, the shop owner studied their uniforms for a few moments. It then hit him. You too, you're students from Hope's Peak Academy. The present customers, who were all listening in, gasped at the same time when they heard this. Well, yeah? Naruto still didn't see the big deal with that. The man nearly had a heart attack. And you didn't tell me this yesterday because it's not a big deal? Not a big deal. The man was just about ready to smack his head on the counter at the lack of common sense he was seeing here. How oblivious can you be, brat? A blank look was his response. Is there a problem? Sonia questioned, also not understanding what the commotion was. The older man stared at them for a few seconds, trying to see if they were trying to play a prank on him or something. But he soon noticed that they were completely serious. Kids these days, he muttered under his breath. More loudly, he said, All right, kid? You and me, we are going to talk about these supposed days off. As for the miss here, if she wants to get her hands dirty so bad, then I don't mind humoring her. Sonia nearly bounced off the walls in excitement. Yes. I will do my best. Naruto's face was full of unmasked mirth. Sonia's excitement was practically contagious. So this was it. His classmates, his friends. Hope's Peak Academy. Living here, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Maybe.